Here for the regular meeting for the Farmington City Council on Monday, July 15th at 7 p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Ball.
Here.
Mayor LaRussa is excused this evening. Councilmember Perkins.
Here.
Councilmember Stamen.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here. Terrific. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now is the time of the evening for our first public comment. If there's anyone from the public that's interested, come up to the podium and state your name and address. Nobody? There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Terrific. Moved by Mr. Schneeman and approved by, or seconded, excuse me, by Ms. Taylor. Next, I'm looking for an approval of our regular. Oh, sorry. All in favor.
Aye.
Still working on this. Now I'm looking for an approval of the regular agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Again, we have a movement by Mr. Schneeman and support by Ms. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, our presentation this evening is the Main Street Farmington Accreditation presentation. Hello.
So many of you have sat through this before, but as a member of the National Main Street Association, every year the Farmington DDA goes through an accreditation process, and it's an evaluation of the organization. You know, so it's not an evaluation of the downtown. The downtown's wonderful, I can attest, but it's more of evaluation of this organization. Is it functioning well? Do they meet certain criteria? And the criteria is listed like broad-based support in the community, that they, represent a diversity of the community. They're practicing good financial practices, that they're using a strategic plan to guide the things that they're moving forward with. I can attest, because I was the one who actually gave the evaluation, that, those are all checked off. Everything is, at or not even at, but above expectations. So just for me to say, a few nice things, I would say, I'm out today and I stopped at Blue Hat before I came here, and I'm looking at all the things that are going on, and I'm looking at Dynam Park, and I'm looking at the work that's, right now, the temporary park at Masons Park, knowing the vision for the permanent park. And you see all these good things happening, and the reason they're happening is that there's a strong organization in place with good volunteers, with really quality staff, and that they've built that support. They're getting the buy-in from the businesses and the property owners. They work hard to find a diversity of funding sources so that they can make these projects happen. And that is the earmark of a very good and strong program. So all of that being said, here, Kate, you can come up and I'll give you this. And this is how many in a row now? I'm trying to remember. We've done, because I remember last year, but it's been a long list of consecutive years of being accredited. So I'd like to pass that to you so that you can put it on the wall. You are welcome.
Kate, do you want a picture?
I would,
yes.
yeah, I would love one.
Totally wants a picture.
Would you like to join us? Are you able to leave the dais to take a picture?
Am I allowed to leave this?
Or yeah, everyone's in blue, huh?
Me too. I actually was going to wear black and then decided not to.
about Jen.
Yeah, they want her in the picture. Just-
No, I
Thank
meant
you
those
so
two.
much. It's always a pleasure. I know I'm probably not supposed to say anything, but we'll just, a quick comment that we are super appreciative of our downtown and our DDA and all the people that volunteer and do a lot of things for us. Okay, we have a question. Mr. Schneeman.
So Tim probably has to,
Maybe.
yeah, for our listening audience.
Yes.
I just want to say thanks for the recognition of all of the incredibly hard work that's been happening recently and over the years. I did want to ask, however, we've been kind of on the ascendancy with our DDA and our program and what's happening in our downtown. But from your perspective, are there kind of putting on a different hat at this point?
Yeah.
From a kind of a constructive criticism, are there some things that you see in our current trajectory or in our current efforts that you might offer suggestions that we might start to think about and look at for next steps and for future?
Absolutely, and that's a good point that I probably didn't think about, but I should mention. So the ball's moving a little slow, unfortunately, but we're working with the state of Washington's Main Street program on trying to come up with what we're calling Main Street Next. And what that would be is there's certain communities that are performing at a high level, and the traditional Main Street model doesn't address some of these things that are coming up now because of your success, being high rents, pressure on residency, things like that are just inherently the side effect of success quite often. And no, I don't, off the top of my head, have suggestions for it, but I would say this is something that we're actively working towards because we recognize there's several communities in Oakland County that we've targeted to say, you're ready for that next step, and we want to figure it out with you. And it will look different. So whatever the next steps for Farmington will probably look different than the next steps in Rochester. But there's similar things that are being faced, and how we address it should be done strategically and with the participation of the organization and again, the businesses and the property owners and the residents, because they're the ultimate purveyors of where this goes. So the short answer is, like I said, tonight I don't have suggestions off the cuff, but we have absolutely recognized that that's a need, that because of the success, you always have to keep growing. And if you don't keep growing, you're in essence going to be falling back. So we're actively going to work towards that. And then one thing I want to add is that at the county, we do think so highly of this organization and this downtown that we have been nudging to apply for, there's an award called the Great American Main Street Award that's given out annually, and they give it to like 3 communities. They'll announce it at the national conference. Right now is the application process. It's a very difficult award to get. In Oakland County, there's 2 communities that have achieved that level, and it's Rochester and Ferndale, and we absolutely believe that Farmington is right there with Rochester and Ferndale, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Before we continue, anybody else? Maria? No? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we are on to new business. And the first one is a consideration of request for a new off-premises tasting room license, which is an extension of the small distillers manufacturing license to be used in a new off-premises tasting room for small batch spirits. Super short title. I think this is you, Kate.
Thank you. Great intro.
this is a nice bridge into this next agenda item because I want to introduce everyone to Joe Lorden, our new distiller coming into downtown. We've been working with Joe for several months. We did a tour. What month was that, Joe? September, October of last year. We walked through town. Dinan Park was under construction. Heights was under construction. The brewers came, walked through their own construction site onto the sidewalk, met Joe, took him to ground control. James McLaughlin, one of the roasters there, came out of his really busy 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon coffee shop and really welcomed Joe. He attended a lot of our professional development workshops. We did one through Main Street through a grant Joe attended as a prospective. Sometimes we invite businesses coming in to join, and he jumped at the opportunity. Tonight, Tim graciously celebrated our accreditation, but another thing that we are celebrating this last week is the award of a small business grant with Genesis to Lone Light Spirits of $2,500. So we have a long partnership with Main Street, Oakland County, and applying for those for our individual businesses. And as an incoming eligible business, Joe was awarded that. Additionally, we had incredible news a few weeks ago, and it was just confirmed by the Michigan Strategic Fund last week on July 9th that Joe and Lone Light Spirits in our storefront here in downtown Farmington won a prestigious Match on Main grant through MEDC My Place. That's a $25,000 small business grant. We applied for it as he was coming in, and we said, Joe, frankly, this is a pretty low probability. But his story is so compelling, both as a downtown Farmington business, but as a Michigan business. And we're really looking forward to having him downtown. We think that you're a destination. You're distilling in Ferndale, and we'll talk more about that. You'll have a chance to say a few words. But I want to also plug that he's already collaborating with downtown businesses and is working with Ground Control, whom he met that initial Wednesday, and they've developed a very, very preliminary coffee liqueur using Ground Control roasting and Joe's secret recipe. So with that, I mean, it's just technical, right, Tom? You can walk us through the application. This is a new application. And this is not for a redevelopment liquor license. This is our new application, which all incoming liquor licenses in the city of Farmington have to apply. Two pieces to it. One goes to the clerk's office, one goes to public safety. Those are complete, and we're here to ask for approval.
So yeah, my name is Joe Lorden. I'm the founder and head distiller at Lone Light Spirits. Currently, we are just a production facility, a distillery based out of Ferndale. The second phase of my business was to open up our tasting room. So as Kate mentioned, you know, I toured the downtown after looking at a number of different areas around here, and you know, fell in love immediately. I knew this is where I wanted to be just after that first meeting. So. Really excited to be able to, you know, hopefully move forward with it. I've been in the craft spirits industry since 2014. I started with Two James Spirits in Detroit right when they were getting going, and eventually became the head distiller there. So, you know, wore a lot of hats, have a lot of experience within the industry, and, you know, these tasting rooms are becoming extremely popular throughout the state. They're not quite as common as breweries, of course, but they're starting to pop up more and more, and they, as Kate mentioned, they are a destination, you know, so the idea is to, you know, add something to the community for the local folks, but also to kind of draw in folks from outside of the, you know, the normal kind of radius that downtown Farmington is working with, and get people coming in from, you know, the west side of the state, and people are willing to travel to visit these sorts of destinations. So, you know, I'm hoping my expertise and experience with producing good, you know, high quality spirits can translate to some great craft cocktails. So, yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions about it or comments. Or.
Anyone? Yes, Steve.
Just to clarify, Kate, this would be part of the syndicate network as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I presume that, Joe, you're familiar with the syndicate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I'm In fact, we're working on a bar design that will allow it to be easier for folks to come in if they are just looking for, the cocktails to go or whatever, to not get in people's way, walk right up, make it quick and easy, and then be able to get out. So we really want to take advantage of the syndicate and everything it has to offer and all the events going on and everything. That'll be a big part of the business plan.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yes.
I have been asked by so many people, we all have, when are they opening? When are you opening?
It's tough to say. Being able to get onto the agenda for this meeting so quickly was great. That was a huge first step. I am currently wrapping up a MLCC investigation, as they call it, but there was just a little bit of equity change over the past year, so there's a lot of paperwork and whatnot involved with that. It's kind of a time-consuming process, but that should be wrapping up in the next 30 days, and from there, I'll have my off-premises tasting room license application ready to go and be able to get that turned around. The build-out, that you have to consider the architect and getting the permits and everything like that, but overall, it's not an overly complex build-out. Building the bar and painting walls and putting some flooring in, so nothing too crazy there. And ideally, I'd like to say that we'd be open before the end of the year, but a lot of that is not necessarily in my control. So, yeah.
All right, cool. We'll be there when you do.
Anyone else? I'll just say, just hearing that you trained at 2 James, that's always been one of our favorites, but I think it's really exciting to have another option in downtown. And the fact that you picked us when you're currently in Ferndale is fantastic, because they have a pretty high standard of places to go to. So we're very excited, but I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve resolution of local approval for issuance of off-premises tasting room license, which is an extension of the small distiller's manufacturing license with Sunday sales permit, AM and PM, entertainment permit, and outdoor service permit to Lone Lake Spirits LLC for the premises at 23622 Farmington Road, Farmington, Michigan, 48335, in Oakland County, subject to final review and approval as to form by the city manager and city attorney.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Taylor, support by Mr. Parkins. A roll call, please.
Falk.
Yes.
Parkins.
Yes.
Stamen.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, our next, sorry, now I have to log back in. Next agenda item is the 2024 Sidewalk Program. I believe this is Mr. Udi.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Yes, before you here, you have basically the change order extending Luigi Fernandi and Sons contract for an additional year to conduct sidewalk improvements. We have several locations throughout the community, some out by Longacre Elementary, some on Grand River, some in Women's Park, the North Lot, and then finally getting back into Bel Air, hopefully our third and final year in Bel Air, get all those sidewalks taken care of over there. Luigi's been a good contractor to work with. Once they move into town, it's hard to keep up with them. They move so quick. That's part of the reason why with the staff report you see we have $394,600 allocated for the project. Or right now the change order is only for $348,000. We know that there's going to be other segments that come up that would only make sense to replace. Just that a lot of times when Luigi is going, we're running to keep up with them and compiling paperwork after hours, verifying unit quantities. So with that, when they do get towards the end of the project here, we'll probably have another change order for council to approve for the final quantities. So any questions for me?
Mr. Schneeman.
Chuck, I saw in the packet that there's a sketch of the north lot, and it looks like potentially a new sidewalk that's cutting north up towards the new bookstore. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And it looks like some rework then of the sidewalks along the north side of those existing buildings,
Potentially, yes.
Grand River?
Yes.
When you say potentially,
We still have to, between the DDA and the city, we still need to achieve or be granted some permissions in there because some of that is on private property.
I see. And
Basically, just going to be a temporary access agreement to get in there and change those sidewalks out.
okay. As far as design is concerned, I mean, replacing sidewalks in a neighborhood that are existing is one thing, but I think what we're talking about here, particularly with the proposed new walk, what's the idea then for the design of that?
Both OHM's working, I see I'm getting hand signals from others here, so I might not have the latest, greatest information, but I'm kind of considering Kate might be pulling some of that out. So, until further,
Okay, I guess my request would be that if and when there is any monies or dollars that are allocated towards this, that the DDA Design Committee get a chance to review the design and make sure that it's working with all the other initiatives within downtown.
I understand.
I believe we have a comment from Austin. He's going to come up to the podium. Latest and greatest.
Hey guys, just to clear the air here, so that sketch, that proposed north sidewalk heading up through that parking lot, that was, hypothetical. We're not looking at doing that. It would only be the sidewalk adjacent to the businesses back there, which with Kate's help, we're working with those businesses to get, all required permissions to replace that in kind. But nothing through that parking lot would be new. We're planning on doing, so that can be ignored just to clear the air, so.
Then I guess my question is, why not?
So, considering potential future work and redevelopment in that area, we don't feel it would be right to do something there now that may not be as beneficial as it could be in the future.
You mean with Thomas Street?
Yes, and maybe other properties around there, which would involve the reconfiguration of that parking lot, and we don't feel that spending money on a sidewalk that could maybe get torn out within the next 5 years, longer or shorter, would be worthwhile for the city.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? No? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve, you can do it.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll move to approve extending the 2020 sidewalk replacement contract to Luigi Ferdinandi and Sons during the 2024-25 fiscal year, not to exceed $394,600.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Taylor, support by Mr. Parkins, and a roll call, please.
Perkins.
Yes.
Schneeman.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Bulk.
Yes. Motion passes. Great, thank you. And next, we have consideration to approve agreement for construction of street improvements, Hillside Towns Maxfield Training Center. Is this-
So under the PUD agreement for the redevelopment of Maxfield Training Center as the Hillside Towns Multifamily Residential Planned Unit Development, Robertson Brothers as developer is obligated to conduct or manage the construction of Thomas Street and School Streets in accordance with the plans that were prepared on the city's behalf by the engineering firm Nork and Fraus, which is also the engineering firm for the project. The improvements will include both the streets themselves and the utilities within the streets, storm and water main in particular. Excuse me. The city, however, is responsible to pay for such improvements. Attached is the agreement between the city and Robertson Brothers for the activity as contemplated in the PUD agreement. See you, Tim. The agreement has been reviewed by the city manager, the city engineering consultant, OHM advisors, and the city's attorney's office. If you have questions, I'm sure Tom will be more than happy to answer with Austin's help.
Any questions? Yes.
So I took a look at the design drawings. Thank you, Austin, for sending those, a readable set. And I've got a few questions. First of all, we're not doing any sidewalk on the south side of Thomas or the west side of School Street. I was curious why. I mean, I know there's none there now. Why are we not proposing?
So due to the right-of-way location, there's not really room for anything additional to be added on the south side and then of Thomas and then the west side of what would be School Street. So the decision to basically replace in kind where it is on the north side of Thomas and east side of School was the one that was logical in that sense.
Who made that decision?
It was a decision between the city, OHM, and NOAC, just throughout design discussions. As to what we could and couldn't do.
How much room is there on the south side? It looks like it tapers down slightly as it moves to the west toward the corner.
Not much at all. Like, even on the north side, like, the sidewalk's basically at the right-of-way too there. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, heading down towards School Street, there's not even enough room for, like, a minimum 4-foot wide sidewalk. And at that, you'd be pushing to have it right up against the curb, which isn't always the safest thing.
Yeah, it looks like 4.8 feet, so just shy of 5 feet
Yeah, it's not
is the
much.
narrowest. Was it even considered?
I'm sure at one point in time it probably was, but, you know, given the.
Could we change it to get it in, or could we issue a bulletin to modify the design?
We could have NOAC look at it closer. I mean, ultimately, the city's.
Why wouldn't we do it?
I mean, I think it's a decision that we could talk about as doing.
We're talking
I don't
about-
know if it's, well, I'm saying like, you know, the design team and everything. I don't know that it's necessarily needed or warranted, but at the same time, if it's something that the city so desires, we can look into further as doing.
Well, we talk about having a downtown that's walkable, and yet we have a whole stretch here across the street from a brand-new development that has no sidewalks at all, which it seems like rebuilding the entire street would be the perfect opportunity to introduce a sidewalk. Even if it's not a ideal sidewalk, at least it's a sidewalk. And it looks to me like potentially we do have this space, albeit somewhat tight.
We've also listened to the Pathways Committee, where the Pathways Committee is very concerned about sidewalks being right at the back of curbs. So we're trying to eliminate the potential of having a sidewalk right at back curb. Yes, we understand this is a local street, it's a lower speed limit on the street, but it was just too tight to try to wedge a sidewalk in there.
Well, I mean, I guess one way to keep pedestrians safe is to just not have any pedestrians there. But that's not what we're trying to do in downtown. We're trying to make a walkable network. So I guess that's kind of a request I have. I'd like to see what the cost would be of that. And I guess it sounds like NOAC would have to provide that?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I say something? So Consumers wants to come in and put the gas lines in, so we're not going to be able to get into the road and do the road till next construction season, like April 1st of next year. So we have time to talk about this and make some decisions on this.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Well, I guess, just to be clear, that's with respect, through the mayor, to the design. The agreement we need to get approved today, even if it's subject to further review, because can't issue any permits till we have this piece in place, so.
And Tom, if I could just follow up on that comment, that
Yes.
there would be no issue with us approving the agreement. I certainly don't want to hold that up. But then also making some minor design tweaks as it moved forward.
We could do that.
Okay. And it sounds like next year is the construction season.
Yes, sir, for the roads.
Time to at least take a look at it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd request that we do that.
Yep.
I also noticed we're getting a new crosswalk across Grand River, apparently, which I was kind of shocked to see. I know that it's been talked about for many years there, and I guess I just wanted to hear what the thoughts are from a design perspective there. It looks like it leads right into the sidewalk in front of the hardware store. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's shown as that, and this is up to the discretion of MDOT. So back when the Crazy Crab was developed, it was kind of part of the plans for that to try to have a crossing somewhere across Grand River in that area. We've been struggling with MDOT, for lack of better terms, over the past couple years into getting that permitted due to the warrants that necessitate needs for crosswalks and this certain situation we have with the road in terms of speed limits, lanes, traffic usage, all of that. We're hoping to get it permitted by them, but it's possible that they may not allow it. So in hopes and preparation for that, we decided to show it on the plans. That way we could be prepared for it. It's not too much effort to show, but if MDOT says no, there's nothing we can do. If they're okay with it, we're ready to go. So it's up in the hands of them. They're in the permit review process right now. So when I know, I know. Right now, I don't know what their final decision is going to be. But come time for construction, you know, there'll be answers for everybody here as to if that's going to happen or not. But if it does happen, it will look a lot like any other standard pedestrian crossing in the downtown area right now on Grand River. We're hoping that they'll allow it, but if they don't, then that's a decision that we have to live with.
And who submitted the documents for MDOT's review?
So we submitted them on the city's behalf, NOAC, as they provided the design, provided all the documents, which we submitted and used to prepare the application.
You're administering it.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll wait and see on that. While we're on the topic of crosswalks, we have this fabulous downtown park, Riley Park, you may have heard of it, and pavilion, and it's widely used. And now we're going to have this fabulous thoroughfare on the north side of Grand River that will eventually connect us to Shiawassee Park, so that pedestrians have a safe, walkable pathway between the two and accessible. However, we don't really have much of anything. We have a standard crosswalk at Grand River, but the question is there any thought on the part of the city, DDA, to starting now, because things are happening, starting to look at what we could potentially do to make a much more substantial connection across Grand River at Riley Park to our new thoroughfare?
Yeah, I think it's a fabulous question. We have not discussed that yet, but I definitely think it's something we can, you know, discuss internally and moving forward. I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, I know there's, you know, the park construction and all that's kind of yet to be determined a little bit too, but yeah, like I said, we haven't discussed it, but I think it's a great question and something we can look into.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to request that the DDA consider taking a look at doing some design and engineering thinking, even if it's just conceptual at this point, about how we can strengthen that connectivity. Because I can see, certainly when we have events, that both sides of the street are going to be heavily used, and having pedestrians be able to feel safe traversing our major thoroughfare is, I think, going to be really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said too, we would hope that all these projects bring even more people there, so it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, last but not least, I know that we have already signed an agreement with OHM to look at, because we are proposing design improvements to Thomas between Warner and School Street, we're also looking at design improvements between Warner and Farmington Road. So Thomas along the back of the parking lot and some of those buildings there. What's the status of that?
That hasn't been approved yet.
Okay.
I've got to bring it to council.
Oh, it's not been approved, I'm
No,
sorry.
I had you look it over.
I know we have a proposal, I should say then, not an agreement.
Yes.
So hopefully we can get that soon.
Yeah, I had a couple concerns I wanted to discuss with them.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's of utmost importance that, that we take a look at that, because if anybody's walked along that stretch, it's not safe, it's not accessible, it's not pretty. It's none of the things that we want our downtown to be. It's crumbling, and it's blight. So we want to get that taken care of as soon as possible. And then lastly, I know I said lastly before, but this is truly lastly, this is awesome, and I'm super excited about it, and glad that we're at this point, and get to hopefully approve this and keep blasting forward. Thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to, before I continue asking if anyone else has questions, you have the diagram up. My question back to the sidewalks and the two sides and all of that. What's the width of the street there? As far as what kind of space we have to work with. And I totally get it. I walk down Grand River all the time, and my least favorite place to go is in front of the cemetery because the cars come off of that light. And I'm just sure someday somebody's going to pop a curb and take me out. So I get the concept of not wanting to have the sidewalk right up next to the curb.
Yeah, so I get where you're going with this, and I don't remember the exact width off the top of my head, but what I do remember is that we cannot make this street any narrower to still allow two-way traffic
Okay.
and on-street parking.
Yep.
If the on-street parking wasn't a question, then sure, it would be easy to shrink it, add more sidewalk, make it wider, do whatever else you wanted in the right of way, because it would create a lot more room. However, on-street parking's pretty important downtown, and
Yeah.
especially adding a new residential development, it's imperative that we keep that. So yeah, we cannot shrink it anymore. than what
Okay.
it is.
I just, we've had so many conversations, we've done one way with,
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
Just following up on my earlier comments, I know that there was a conceptual design review at the DDA's design committee of this, but obviously this is much more developed design. It sounds like we have a little bit of time. I guess I'd like to request that this goes back.
Yeah, definitely
the
can.
design
Yeah, there's
committee as
there's
soon as
time.
possible.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we need to add that to the motion about, or this is just the agreement, so we're fine with it as is?
You could read it as is, and when you get to the part, or the motion maker gets to the part of any minor amendments, say, including sidewalk inquiry that raised during the.
Great. Okay. I will entertain,
I'll move to approve the agreement for construction of street improvements between the City of Farmington and Robertson Brothers with any minor amendments and with the review of the DDA Design Committee to be approved by the city manager and city attorney's office.
Support.
great. Motion by Mr. Snyman, support by Mr. Perkins. Roll call, please.
Snyman.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Balk.
Yes.
And Perkins.
Yes.
Great. Motion carries. Thank you so much. And thank you, Austin. Next, item D is consideration to purchase and install treasurer's office furniture. Is this going to be Mr. Weber?
It's going to be me.
Excellent.
Treasurer's office has furniture that was last updated in the 1990s. And actually, there's a lot of stuff in there that was updated in the 80s. We've just made it last, but it's starting to show its age. It's starting to break down, sharp edges, missing trim, drawers that don't open, that kind of thing. So we included $45,000 in the 2023-24 budget, and unfortunately, we weren't able to complete it by June 30th, but we did get 3 different proposals from 3 vendors. The one that we would like to go with is Smart Business Source. They were the low bidder at $37,000. Farmington Hills has used them as a provider. We're very happy with their work. And since they were also the low bidder, we would like permission to go ahead and purchase our new cubes and furniture from them. We would be rolling forward the $45,000 that was budgeted in the last fiscal year into the new fiscal year to fund it.
Okay.
Questions?
Any questions? Color schemes, anything? Do we who gets to pick?
Lisa from our department has done a good job of trying to match it up with the existing furniture on the side. So, nothing too radical, some off-white, some gray, some classic office stuff.
Anyone else? All right, I would entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, I
Oh.
do have one
Oh,
quick
yeah,
question.
please.
The reason that we're looking at this is because it's over the $15,000 limit.
Yes.
10? We should revisit that. Thanks.
So noted. Okay, now,
I'll move to approve the purchase and installation of Treasurer's Office furniture from Smart Business Source in the amount of $37,055.10.
Support.
motion by Mr. Schneeman. We'll give it to Ms. Taylor this time for support. Roll call, please.
Taylor.
Yes.
Balk.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Schneeman.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, our last new business item is the consideration to appoint a delegate for the annual MML convention. We will be heading up, and so it's just a matter of having a delegate for the, so if there's any
The
questions.
MML convention.
Yep, for the MML convention. I did speak with Mayor LaRosa, and he's actually already in that particular meeting, so it would work unless anyone has questions or is dying to be, yes.
So I noticed that it says that Mayor Pro Tem Jonna Balk would be the alternate in the motion. But then I also noticed that Mayor Pro Tem Jonna Balk's name is not mentioned as an attendee to the conference.
Oh, I am oh, I'm not. I read that
We
too.
decided we are not going to go this year.
I have an email
Yes, you're all set.
confirmation that says I'm going. I got my bags packed.
Okay, so that's,
So yes, I am going. It is a
thank
typo.
you for clarifying.
Dave better not have canceled my reservation. I want to go. So yes, I would gladly be the backup.
I'll move to appoint Mayor Joe LaRussa as Farmington's delegate for the annual MML meeting September 11th through the 13th, 2024, and Mayor Pro Tem Jonna Balk as the alternate.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Schneeman, support by Ms. Taylor. I guess we don't need a roll call. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much. All right, we are at that point of the evening where we can have public comment again. If there's anyone who wants to say anything, come up to, no one looks like they want to say anything. So we will move to city council comment. If any of my colleagues would like to say anything. Absolutely.
Just want to thank Austin from OHM and Chuck for your comments about the road improvements. I meant when I said I'm very excited about it. You know, I don't want to be a thorn in people's side when I'm always bringing up design issues and questioning everything, but, you know, I care a lot about the city and the design pedigree, and obviously have put a lot of time into it over the past 20-plus years. And so it's all important, even sidewalks and crosswalks and that sort of thing. So I think we've got a great team in place, and I think because of the level of scrutiny that we put ourselves through, frankly, that's why we've started to see some really great results. And so I appreciate everybody's patience in that regard. I remember many, many, many years ago when the farmers market wanted to move forward, and we said, could you just wait a season so we could take a look? We might want to do a nice little downtown park with a pavilion. We think it'd be a good fit for the farmers market. And there was some grumbling from the farmers market folks about waiting because they wanted to do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it. But they finally acquiesced and they waited a year. And we think it turned out pretty darn good. So I just wanted to say thanks, everybody, for humoring me. And I think it's going to be great for everybody.
Anyone else? No announcements about anything bicentennial? Just a reminder that this week is our big weekend, Founders Festival and Parade and all the things. So, and if you haven't bought your tickets for the gala, I'll throw in a plug for Ms. Taylor and her committee.
July 27th, and the ticket deadline is the 21st.
So get your tickets. But I would also like to comment, thank you, Steve. I don't see it as a thorn. I appreciate your expertise, and I feel like this is definitely an area where we can utilize your thoughts on things. And I, too, am really appreciative of you guys and all of the changes that we see and how quickly things get taken care of. And I know things pop up, and we keep getting emails about things that are failing in our infrastructure, but I like how we're doing things the way they need to be done. And sometimes in home things, we call it a not sexy purchase. It's never a sexy purchase to have to replace sidewalk unless it's your house. Then it's kind of sexy, and you really are appreciative that you're not tripping and your neighbors aren't tripping. So we're all appreciative. If there is nothing else, I would accept a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn. Support.
Motion by Mr. Perkins, support by Mr. Taylor. Mr. Shaman. I'm looking at Ms. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm going to remember to do the gavel. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Since I forgot it when we opened.